Welcome. Tonight, let your breathing slow and your thoughts drift as gently as the evening tide. Imagine yourself standing on a quiet coastline where the sea stretches endlessly into the horizon. The air is cool with the scent of salt, and every wave rolls toward the shore with a soft, comforting rhythm. Above you, the first stars begin to appear one by one, while the last golden rays of sunlight melt into the endless blue ocean. There is no hurry here, no noise except the whisper of the sea, the distant cry of gulls, and the gentle wind brushing against the tall grass growing between the cliffs. Take one slow breath and another. Allow every breath to carry away the worries of the day. Our story begins many centuries ago in a peaceful fishing village resting on the edge of a wide and beautiful sea. Small white cottages lined the rocky coast, each with colorful wooden doors painted blue, green, or deep red. Fishing boats floated quietly in the harbor, gently rocking with the tides as if they too were preparing for sleep. Standing above everything else was an old stone lighthouse. Its tower rose proudly above the cliffs, watching over sailors day and night. Every evening, when darkness covered the ocean, a bright lantern at its top would begin turning slowly, sending its warm light across the water. The lighthouse had only one keeper. His name had long been forgotten by the villagers. Everyone simply called him the Keeper. He had lived inside the lighthouse for as long as anyone could remember. Every morning, while the village slowly came alive, he climbed the narrow spiral staircase carrying oil for the great lamp. Every evening, before sunset disappeared beyond the sea, he carefully polished the enormous glass lenses until they shone like crystal. His work was important. Ships depended upon his light. Without it, sailors might lose their way among the rocks hidden beneath the waves. Yet, although the keeper faithfully performed his duties every single day, his heart always belonged somewhere else. He loved the horizon more than anything in the world. Whenever his work was finished, he climbed to the balcony near the top of the lighthouse and stood silently looking toward the endless line where the sky kissed the sea. He often wondered what lay beyond it. Were there islands filled with forests untouched by man? Did whales swim beneath distant waters no human had ever explored? Were there cities brighter than stars, mountains taller than clouds, or oceans even wider than this one? Every evening, these questions filled his thoughts. And every evening, he promised himself, one day he would discover the answers. The villagers often invited him to join their evening meals. Fresh fish roasted over open fires, warm bread baked that morning, bowls of olives and herbs gathered from nearby hills, children laughing around long wooden tables. But the keeper almost always smiled politely and declined. "I must watch the sea," he would say. Double quotes, "There is always something new waiting beyond the horizon." Double quotes. The fishermen admired his dedication. The children imagined exciting adventures waiting across distant waters. Even the elders nodded respectfully. Surely someone who watched the sea every night must know many wonderful secrets. Yet the keeper never noticed the little miracles happening close to home. He never stopped to admire the tiny shells scattered along the beach after every tide. He never listened carefully to the gentle songs fishermen sang while repairing their nets. He never smelled the sweet lavender growing beside the winding paths leading toward the cliffs. His eyes were always fixed, far away. Every night he climbed the lighthouse once more. The lantern slowly began turning. Golden beams swept across the dark water. Far below, waves crashed gently against the rocks. Moonlight shimmered upon the sea like thousands of tiny silver coins dancing together. The keeper smiled. This, he believed, was where all true beauty lived. Not in the village below, not among the cottages, not in friendly conversations or shared meals. Only out there, somewhere beyond the endless horizon. And so, another peaceful night passed beneath the stars. The sea whispered softly against the cliffs. The lighthouse continued turning, and the keeper kept searching, always searching, for something farther away. The following morning, as the first golden rays of sunlight slowly spread across the sea, the lighthouse keeper was still awake. He had spent the entire night watching the distant horizon. His eyes were tired, but his heart still carried the same question. What lies beyond the horizon? A gentle morning breeze drifted over the water, carrying the fresh scent of salt and the soft rhythm of rolling waves. One by one, the fishing boats returned to the harbor after a long night at sea. Seagulls circled above them, occasionally diving into the water to catch their breakfast. The keeper hardly noticed any of it. His eyes remained fixed on the endless line where the sea met the sky. Just then, he spotted an old wooden sailing boat slowly making its way toward the harbor. Unlike the other fishing boats, this vessel looked as though it had traveled for countless years. Its faded sails had been patched many times. Its wooden hull was weathered by salt and storms, and its ropes had grown rough with age. When the boat reached the shore, an elderly sailor stepped onto the sand. His hair was as white as sea foam. His face was lined with the marks of many years. Yet his bright eyes sparkled with the quiet wisdom of someone who had witnessed countless sunsets and crossed endless oceans. The old sailor slowly walked toward the lighthouse. When he reached the keeper, he smiled warmly. "Are you the keeper of this lighthouse?" he asked. The keeper nodded. "I am." The old sailor looked out across the sea before speaking again. "I have spent my entire life sailing these waters," he said softly. "I have visited frozen islands, tropical shores, towering cliffs, crowded ports, and cities filled with lights brighter than the stars." The keeper's eyes widened with excitement. "Then tell me," he asked eagerly, "is it true that extraordinary wonders exist beyond the horizon?" The sailor remained silent for a moment. Then he smiled. "Yes," he replied. "There are many wonders beyond the horizon, but the greatest wonder I ever discovered was never beyond it. The keeper looked puzzled. "Then where did you find it?" The sailor bent down and picked up a small seashell lying on the sand. He gently placed it in the keeper's hand. "Here." The keeper stared at the tiny shell. It seemed ordinary. He had walked past thousands like it without ever giving them a second glance. The sailor spoke gently. "Look more closely. The keeper lifted the shell into the morning sunlight. For the first time, he truly examined it. Its smooth white surface was decorated with delicate pink and golden patterns, each one unique, as though carefully painted by the sea itself. As the sunlight touched it, the shell shimmered softly. He slowly traced its tiny ridges with his fingertips. It was beautiful, and yet he had never noticed. The old sailor smiled. "You spend so much time looking far away," he said, "that you forget to see the beauty resting quietly at your feet." The keeper said nothing. A fresh breeze drifted across the shore. He suddenly noticed the salty scent of the sea. He heard children laughing as they played along the beach. Their cheerful voices blended perfectly with the gentle rhythm of the waves. For the first time in many years, he truly listened. The old sailor began walking slowly along the shoreline. Without saying a word, the keeper walked beside him. Together, they followed the edge of the sea. After a long silence, the sailor spoke again. "When I was young," he said, "I believed happiness always waited in the next harbor, the next island, the next voyage. So I never stayed anywhere for very long." He paused for a moment before continuing. "One day I realized I had traveled halfway around the world, yet I had never truly watched a sunrise." The keeper listened quietly. "The greatest treasures in life," the sailor continued, "are not always waiting somewhere far away. Sometimes they are already beside you. The keeper lowered his eyes. A gentle wave rolled across the sand and touched his feet before quietly slipping back into the sea. He felt the cool water, the softness of the wet sand beneath his boots, the warmth of the morning sunlight upon his face, the gentle breeze moving through his hair. All of these things had been there every single day. Yet somehow, today was the first day he had truly noticed them. The old sailor looked toward the bright blue sky and smiled. "This evening," he said, "before you search for the horizon, take a moment to look around you." With those gentle words, The old sailor slowly walked toward the village. The keeper remained standing alone upon the shore. The tiny seashell still rested in the palm of his hand. He looked once toward the distant horizon. Then, for the very first time in many years, he looked down at the world beneath his feet. The sea continued whispering against the shore, but somehow, its whispers seemed to carry a meaning he had never heard before. That evening, as the sun slowly descended toward the western sea, the lighthouse keeper did not climb directly to the top of the lighthouse, as he always had. Instead, he remembered the old sailor's gentle words. "Before you search the horizon, look around you, slowly." He began walking along the village's narrow stone paths. He had walked these roads countless times before, yet today, everything seemed wonderfully new. Tiny wildflowers swayed gently beside the path. Some were white, some golden yellow, others a deep shade of blue. Each flower seemed to quietly wave farewell to the setting sun. A little girl was gathering flowers nearby. When she noticed the keeper, she smiled warmly. "Would you like one?" she asked. The keeper looked surprised. He could not remember the last time someone had offered him a flower. Smiling gently, he accepted a small blue blossom. Its delicate fragrance drifted softly through the evening air. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply. How had he never noticed such a gentle perfume before? Continuing down the road, he arrived at the village bakery. The warm aroma of freshly baked bread filled the air. The baker waved happily. "Come," he said. "I've just baked fresh honey. Bread." The keeper accepted a small piece. The crust was crisp and warm. The inside was soft and light. The sweetness of the honey slowly spread across his tongue. He closed his eyes once again. It had been many years since he had truly taken the time to enjoy a simple meal. As evening deepened, villagers gathered in the town square. Someone played a wooden flute. Others shared old stories of distant voyages across the sea. Children laughed as they chased one another through the open square. The elders sat quietly on wooden benches, watching the sunset together. For the first time, the keeper joined them. He said very little. Instead, he simply listened. The laughter of friends, the gentle crackle of cooking fires, the distant rhythm of waves rolling onto the shore. Together, they formed a peaceful melody unlike anything he had ever noticed before. Then the sky began to change. Blue slowly became golden. Golden melted into orange. Orange faded into soft pink. Pink deepened into rich shades of purple. The keeper watched in silent wonder. For so many years, he had patiently waited for the stars to appear. Yet he had never truly admired the magnificent colors that welcomed the night. He smiled quietly to himself. The stars are beautiful, but the sky tells its own wonderful story before they arrive. The final rays of sunlight slipped beneath the horizon. One by one, the villagers returned to their homes. The keeper also began walking back toward the lighthouse. But this evening, there was no hurry. He knew the stars would still be waiting. Their light would not disappear. As he walked, he realized something he had never understood before. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries are not waiting in distant lands. Sometimes, they have been quietly waiting, right where we already are. Night had finally settled over the sea. A soft blanket of darkness slowly covered the endless water, while gentle waves shimmered beneath the silver glow of the rising moon. The breeze was calm, carrying only the soothing whisper of the ocean as it rolled against the rocky shore. The lighthouse keeper slowly climbed the narrow stone staircase leading to the top of the tower. Just as he had done every evening for many years, he carefully cleaned the great glass lantern, filled it with fresh oil, and as the last rays of sunlight disappeared beyond the horizon, the lighthouse beam began its slow, steady rotation. Its warm golden light stretched far across the sea. In the distance, a small sailing boat caught sight of the beam and safely adjusted its course toward the harbor. The keeper smiled quietly. Tonight, the light was doing more than guiding ships. It seemed to be lighting a new path inside his own heart. Just then, he heard cheerful voices rising from below. Looking over the balcony, he saw several village children gathered near the lighthouse. along with a few fishermen. Standing among them was the old sailor. He looked up and smiled warmly. "Tonight," the old sailor called, "we would like to see the sky through your eyes." A gentle smile spread across the keeper's face. For so many years he had admired the stars alone. Tonight, for the very first time, he would share their beauty with others. The villagers spread blankets across the soft grass beside the lighthouse. One by one, they lay beneath the open sky. As darkness deepened, countless stars slowly appeared overhead. One, then another. Soon the heavens were filled with sparkling points of light. The keeper pointed toward one of the brightest stars. "That star," he said softly, "has guided sailors safely across the sea for generations." ... The children stared upward in amazement. One little boy raised his hand. "Do the stars ever disappear?" he asked. The keeper smiled gently. "No," he replied. "They are always there. Sometimes clouds hide them from our eyes, but they never stopped shining." The old sailor listened quietly. A peaceful smile rested upon his face. The keeper continued telling stories about the constellations. He spoke of ancient sailors who crossed vast oceans by following the stars. He explained how different constellations announced the changing seasons. He described how the night sky had guided travelers for thousands of years. Everyone listened with quiet wonder. But something was different this time. The keeper was no longer looking only at the sky. Every now and then, he looked back at the people around him. He saw the children's eyes fill with curiosity. He noticed the peaceful smiles of the elders. He watched the joy shining on the faces of his friends. Somehow, the stars seemed even more beautiful now, not because they had changed, but because he was no longer enjoying them alone. After a while, everyone fell silent. No one spoke. Only the gentle rhythm of the waves, the distant call of a night bird, and above them, an endless sky filled with stars. The keeper slowly lay back upon the soft grass. Around him, the villagers did the same. Together, they admired the silent beauty of the heavens. In that peaceful moment, the keeper realized something he had never truly understood before. Beauty is not only meant to be discovered, it is also meant to be shared. For the first time in many years, he no longer felt the urgent need to chase the distant horizon. Perhaps one day he would sail beyond it, but tonight, there was nowhere else he wished to be. This quiet evening, these familiar faces, this peaceful sky, were already more than enough. The night grew deeper. The lighthouse continued turning faithfully above the sea. The waves whispered softly against the shore, and the keeper finally understood. Sometimes, the brightest light in the world does not shine in the sky. It shines within the hearts of those who share its beauty. The following morning, as the first rays of sunlight gently touched the surface of the sea, the lighthouse keeper awoke earlier than usual. He stepped outside the lighthouse and stood quietly upon the cliff. The morning air was cool and fresh. Gentle waves rolled peacefully onto the shore. Seabirds glided gracefully through the brightening sky, while fishermen prepared their boats for another day upon the water. For once, he was in no hurry. He simply stood there, watching the world slowly awaken around him. A few moments later, the old sailor approached once again. The two men stood side by side, silently gazing across the endless sea. After a long, peaceful silence, the old sailor smiled. "Do you still wish to sail beyond the horizon?" he asked softly. The keeper smiled in return. "Yes," he replied, "I still do. But now I understand something I never knew before. Before chasing the horizon, I must first learn to appreciate the beauty that already surrounds me." The old sailor nodded with quiet satisfaction. Exactly. The horizon never truly ends. No matter how far you travel toward it, it will always move farther away. But this moment, it will always belong to you. The keeper remained silent, reflecting on those simple yet powerful words. For so many years, he had spent his life chasing something that could never truly be reached. In doing so, he had overlooked the countless blessings waiting quietly around him every single day. That evening, the entire village gathered once more beside the lighthouse. Some brought warm bread fresh from the oven. Others carried baskets of fruit. The fishermen shared freshly caught fish. The beekeeper offered jars of sweet golden honey. The village children decorated the lighthouse door with little garlands of wildflowers they had woven together themselves. The air was filled with laughter, stories, and quiet happiness. Slowly, the sun slipped beneath the sea. One by one, the stars began appearing. Overhead, the keeper sat with everyone upon the soft grass. Tonight, he admired the stars, but he also admired the smiling faces beside him. At last, he understood. Neither beauty was greater than the other. The stars inspired dreams. The people around him gave those dreams meaning. As the night grew deeper, the villagers slowly returned to their homes. The keeper remained behind. Instead of sleeping inside the lighthouse, he spread a warm blanket upon the soft grass beneath the open sky. Above him, thousands of stars sparkled peacefully. Beside him, the sea whispered its endless lullaby. A cool breeze gently brushed across his face. Slowly, he closed his eyes. He knew tomorrow the sun would rise once again. Evening would return. The stars would shine again. And every new day would quietly offer another beautiful gift. If only he remembered to pause and truly notice it. The sea continued whispering against the shore. The lighthouse beam continued its faithful journey across the water. And beneath that peaceful night sky, the lighthouse keeper finally understood the greatest lesson of all. Life's greatest journey is not found beyond a distant horizon. It is found in fully embracing the beauty of the present moment. With a peaceful heart, he drifted gently into sleep, while the whispering sea carried him softly into beautiful dreams. The end.